Hey, and welcome to the highlights of episode number 251 with Tererai Trent. Some of my favorite parts of this episode were when she shares her incredible story from being a child bride in a small Zimbabwe village to one of the world's most recognizable voices in women's empowerment and education. I also loved it when she shares the big question that changed her life. I loved when she spoke about how to achieve your dreams, even if they seem 100% impossible, and how we can avoid passing on negative stories from our past or from previous generations to our children. Her insights were amazing. You guys are going to love it. But there is so much more wisdom and inspiration that you get in the full episode. So to listen to the full podcast and get all the info in the show notes, head on over to melissaambrosini.com/251 right now. Tererai, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here. Now, the work that you do is absolutely incredible and your story is incredible. So can you take us back and tell us your story and how you got to where you are today doing the work that you now do? Like, how did this all unfold for you?
You know, I always tell my story as I reflect back to my great-grandmother, who I always describe. She was born in a race that she was running and holding this baton, the baton of poverty, the baton of early marriage, the baton of illiteracy. And she runs with that baton and she hands it over to my grandmother. My grandmother grabs that baton of a colonial system that never respected her as a woman, a patriarchal system that devalued her. And she runs with that baton. She hands it over to my mother. My mother grabs that baton of illiteracy, the baton of poverty. She hands it over to me. And I find myself having 4 children by the age of 18, without a high school education, with nothing, and living in this abusive relationship. And I realized I was running a race that I never defined. And I wanted to drop that baton and change the trajectory of my life and that of my children. So when we gained our independence, all of a sudden we had all these Western women coming to our communities, our rural communities. I was born during Rhodesia, and today the country is Zimbabwe. So when we gained independence, we are now in Zimbabwe. These women were coming, and there was one particular woman who came, and she asked me one question: "What are your dreams?" No one in my life had asked me that question. And I'm looking at her, and I am thinking, me, poor marginalized woman, am I supposed to dream? And I kept quiet. And she said, "Please tell me, what are your hopes?" And when I opened my mouth, I became a chatterbox, and I told her, I want to go to America. I want to have an undergraduate degree. I want to have a master's, and I want to have a PhD. And she looked at me and she said, "Yes, if you believe in your dreams, they are achievable." And I thought, she's crazy for her to even think that I can go to America. I can have all these degrees. There's a story that I always share. 3 months after the kids arrived, their gums were bleeding, and I realized they were missing the fruits and vegetables, because in Africa, you can grow your fruits and vegetables. The vegetables, we eat vegetables in the morning, we eat vegetables in the afternoon, we eat vegetables in the evening as part of our diet. And now I am in America. I am working in these restaurants, and I'm feeding my kids French fries and hamburgers. I went to the university. I said, it's one thing for me to pursue my dream, but it's another when I see my own kids suffering. I'm about to give up. The university said, well, we can help you. Usually there are these stores, they sell fruits and vegetables, but sometimes at the end of the day, they throw away those that are going bad. And I hope you don't mind washing them and feed your kids. And I said, I don't mind. We went to the store. The store manager says, well, in this country, if I give you these fruits and vegetables that are going bad, and if you consume them, or if anything happens to your kids after consuming them, you might end up suing us. And I am now crying and looking at this store manager. And I said, I have no dime to sue anyone. Please help me. I need to feed my kids. The store manager looked at me and I could see tears in his eyes. And he said, well, I'm going to put the food in a cardboard box and make sure that you come and pick that cardboard box. I'm not going to hand over the cardboard box in your hands. We will place it outside near the trash can. 4:00, you come and pick your cardboard box with fruits and vegetables. I talk of two kinds of hungers in our life. There is the little hunger. The little hunger is all about immediate gratification. I want this, I want that. It's all about how many Facebook likes did I get today. You can never satisfy the little hunger. But there is the great hunger. The greatest of all hungers is hunger that allows us, enables us to seek for purpose in our life. And I needed that purpose in my life. My first trip, I went back home and I dug my buried dreams and checked going to America, checked undergraduate, checked masters, reburied those dreams, came back to the United States of America, enrolled myself at Western Michigan University, and graduated with my PhD. And I remember the day that they were now going to give me that paper that says I'm a PhD holder. As I was walking to receive that paper, it dawned on me that it had taken me 20 years from the day that I buried those precious dreams to the day that I am receiving this paper. I felt like a lawyer who had rested her case to herself and to the world. And my closing statement and argument was, if we give education opportunities to those who are torn down and marginalized by the social ills of our time, they can achieve their dreams. If we believe in our dreams, if we believe in the dreams of our kids and future generations, we can redefine and reshift the baton, the ugly baton that we carry. I defied the rules of my father and I defied the norms of my culture. I refused to let societal expectations marginalize women and girls, to deny them their dignity. And I refused to keep silent. So now I have my PhD and I'm thinking I should be happy. But somehow I keep on hearing my mother's words. I only see your personal goals. Your dreams will have greater meaning when they are tied to the betterment of others. Then I'm asking myself, how on earth was I going to fulfill that fifth dream, number 5 dream, the dream that I'm now calling the sacred dream? I decided to come up with my own t-shirts, design those t-shirts and have the name Tinogona. It is achievable. The very same mantra that Joe Luck, the woman that I had met in my village, had said, it is achievable, Tinogona. And I said, I'm going to sell my t-shirts and I'm going to go home, rebuild schools, provide education to young girls, create employment platforms for women. Well, unfortunately, I only sold 20 t-shirts, and mostly to my American friends. I was devastated and realized I didn't have a marketing degree. And in those moments of my devastation, I kept on saying, dear mother, why did you make me write that fifth dream? Why can't I just be happy? And then I received a phone call, the most memorable call of my life, the call from Oprah Winfrey. And she donated 1.5 million US dollars towards that fifth dream. And today, in partnership with Oprah Winfrey, I have managed to rebuild 12 schools in rural areas of Zimbabwe.
Now, apart from having the awareness of the batons that are being passed down to us, how can we not take on those negative ones?
By asking ourselves, what breaks my heart? What breaks our hearts? Because it is in those moments of our brokenness we begin to have a yearning for something bigger than who we are. We begin to tap into our great hunger. We begin to realize that the little hungers, they don't serve us. We become slaves to the little hungers, the negative things in our life. And we are called then to pick on purpose in our life. That's what gives us joy and redemption and healing.
Absolutely. How important is it, do you think, that we all stop and write down or speak out loud our dreams? How important is it for us?
It is because that's what gives us meaning in our life. It is important because that's our life. Otherwise, we become silenced by the negativity in our life. We become silenced by the small hungers in our life. We want to be awakened. And the reason why I had to write this book, The Awakened Woman, I realize the silencing of women is everywhere. It's not only an African silencing. Even in the Western world, women are also silenced. But when we rise and realize what is at stake, then we know we don't want to pass on this silencing to the next generation. This is what defines us. We always have to ask ourselves and ask, can we come home to ourselves?
Yes, so beautiful. So beautiful. So you mentioned before, it took you so many years to get your degree. You kept on getting these Fs.
Hmm.
And how did you pick yourself up every time you quote unquote failed or you fell down? Because I know that there would be so many people listening that may feel defeated right now, or they may feel like they've failed. So how can we get back up as quickly as we possibly can when we hit those road bumps?
Two things. Surround yourself with giants who believe in your dreams. I had my mother. She believed in my dreams. Whenever I fell, I would rise. And she would always remind me what is at stake. So when we fail, let's ask ourselves, the beauty is not in failing, but the beauty is in how we rise and never give up. So in that rising, what is making you to rise? For me, the question has always been, I don't want to pass on the baton to my girls. It is the very thing that broke me. I didn't want to pass it on to someone. It was now the very thing that inspired me to rise. Despite failing, I would always rise.
Beautiful. Can you share with us your dream rituals? Can do you have any rituals that you do each day to check in with your dreams, or what do you do?
And also, because, when I fail, I would have all these daily rituals that my grandmother taught me. And one of them was to wake up early in the morning and I would reflect on my life and asking myself, in what ways am I coming home to myself? almost like meditation. I would do that. And now, what I do now that I know how to write, I wake up sometimes 4 a.m. every day, and I do what I call fierce writing. And I just write, and I just write. And in those writing, I am purging whatever challenges or whatever ugliness in my way, the discouragement, I am purging them. And sometimes I wash down my own soul wounding every morning by writing what's paining me. And I create my own ritual where I put all these things in an envelope or a pouch. I create fire and I burn all these things and say to myself, today I am creating a new plate for myself. And I always say to women, find a ritual, a daily ritual. Make it sacred for you, something that you follow. Because rituals, they ground us. They are a point of our faith, or they lead us to our faith, because they are giving us that firm grounding where we can sit and say, I have done my ritual today. I am confident, because you're building your confidence along the way.
Beautiful. One of your missions is to provide access to quality education because you believe that education is the pathway out of poverty. So, how can we help? How can the listeners help? Can anyone make an impact in the world? Like, what can we do to help?
I think anyone can make an impact in the world. And people have always said, what's your next dream? Is you build schools and providing education. And my next dream, I always say, I'm tired of digging the dirty ground and burying my dreams. I am burying my dreams in the hearts of your listeners. I'm burying my dreams in every woman and in every man who sees the value of education. Because today we talk about more than 200 million girls worldwide who are being denied the right to education. We can do our best. I, as Tererai, I stand on the shoulders of champions, on the shoulders of giants. I don't take credit for the things that I do in life. Others looked into my eyes, and others, they still say, can you stand on my shoulder? And I'm asking, please, let's allow others to stand on our shoulders.
Now, I'd love to hear, everybody has a different definition of success, but what do you attribute your success to?
Connecting my personal goals to the greater good.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. What is bringing you the most joy in your life right now?
When I see the old men and women in my village giving priority to educate their boys and girls, seeing education as a pathway out of poverty, I get so much joy. But also I get so much joy when I realize that my own girls, I passed on a different baton. I have a girl, she graduated with mechanical engineering, and another one, she's doing biomedical sciences. And many of my kids are thriving in this world. And just to realize that I decided to choose the baton of wisdom. That gives me joy.
That's so beautiful.
I do these events and workshops and I speak around the world, and I always ask women, let's reclaim our voices. I don't believe in find your voice, because we already have the voice in us, but because something somehow there is a silencing that silence that voice. So I want women to reclaim their voice, to be able to sit around the open fire and pass on stories as part of healing and as part of reclaiming their voice. So they're imparting their knowledge and wisdom, the ancient wisdom, to their daughters and to their son. I think we have that moral obligation to do that.
I love that. Absolutely. What's one thing that you're working on or would like to improve within yourself at the moment?
Or everything. I am I am a student and I'm always learning. One thing that I learned so fast was I didn't want to carry charity work in the traditional manner, because it has crippled us in third world countries. We are always receiving grants without the skills to learn how to operate our mission and our vision in a business manner. So I am learning all that to say, if I want to feed my mission, if I want to uplift and educate more girls, I have to operate, or I have to create a business model that can help me to carry this work forward. And I'm always learning.
Now, let's pretend you have a magic wand and you could put one book in the school curriculum of every single high school around the world. Now, besides your books, let's pretend that they're already in the curriculum. What is one other book that you would choose?
Maybe I would choose Christina Carlson's book, Your Life Begins. I mean, it's a beautiful book. It's about energizing kids to dream. So if I can empower kids to dream, wow, that's beautiful. Yeah. But there are so many other books that I read. I think I tend to read 3-4 books. At one time, I'm reading all kinds of books, but a book that talks about dreaming, it's a powerful book for me, because we are creating a future for this generation.